Hello, my name's Sam and welcome to another video on the channel. This video marks the start of my journey over 8 days backpacking the Kintyre Way on the west coast of Scotland. I'm doing it in winter. I'm going to be staying under a tarp, and so the next few videos in this playlist, the Kintyre Way playlist on my channel, will document that journey. And like all good journeys, this one started with a little bit of drama. I forgot one of the crucial mounting pins and a mount itself for the GoPro, so I've had to fashion one out of just a little bit of wood that I carved into a pin, and that is what's holding the GoPro onto the stick just now. So you'll have to bear with me on that one. Hopefully I can still get some good footage. I'm sure there'll be ways to get around it, and let's just crack on. I've stopped at this little resting place. It's a nice viewpoint. Looks out over to the natural Tarp Bay, and it's really quite a sight. Really rugged, beautiful landscape with lots of what must be ancient remnants of native woodland, which really gets me going. I feel like there's a flaw in the design of this fence. Well, I just stopped off for a wee drink of some nice peaty water. It's probably full of all sorts of sins. It's a drain that's been dug into a Sitka spruce plantation, and you know, there's a chance they probably filled the place full of fertilizer to try and get the stuff to grow here, and I'll wake up tomorrow morning with a tree coming out my nose. But it's been a good walk so far. I've really enjoyed it. The surface has been mainly this kind of like forest road, which is fine because it's nice and easy. And about 5 or 6 kilometers in, probably making more progress than I thought I was. So I'm thinking I might pass on through Skipness and camp a little bit further down the road to make some gains on tomorrow's distance. So we'll just take a quick look at the map. We started here in Tarp and headed up through the woods, and we're roughly about here, so we still need to go a wee bit further along the woods and we'll come out down at the town of Skipness, and I'm thinking I'll push on just a little bit further into these woods here, camp somewhere in there to get a few kilometres in on tomorrow's distance rather. Well, there's lunch. Oat cake, tuna topper, some cheese. Well, I was a bit dubious about the lunch menu initially. Squeezing the tuna out of the packet made it feel a little bit like I was eating cat food, but actually it's really quite nice. Yeah, just the kind of John West tuna packet toppers. They've got like little bits of vegetables and that in them as well, and the oat cakes aren't painfully dry, so happy days. And then just kind of washing it down with some cheese. Well, I've just finished up lunch and taking a look at the map to suss out where we are at the minute, and I wouldn't say it's entirely clear. This map suggests that we're on a single track the whole way, but I cut off before the lock onto a single track like this one, and there is no change of path on this OS map, so I would have expected to see a forest road come into this, or this come into a forest road at some point. So I know I'm somewhere in this stretch here, maybe around about here I'd say. And yeah, just got all the way down to Skipness to walk, and then a little bit further along, see if we can find somewhere to camp down there.
Well, this is going to be home for the night. It's a place that I picked out on the map, and to be honest I didn't expect it to look as good as this. I was considering pushing on, walking a bit further down, there's a cove at the beach, or making a bit more distance on tomorrow's total distance by heading further down, but this looks absolutely perfect, and yeah, I'm feeling it now, so time to get down and set up. Well, that's the tarp setup. Cracking camp spot. Right next to the river. Hopefully maybe have a fire down this way. There's not a huge amount of burnable material here, but we'll see what we can pull together. Just thought I'd do a quick video on the sleep system. This is the exact same system that I had in my woodland overnighter video, which I'll put a tag to. So you can watch that if you haven't seen it, but a little bit of a description this time. If you watched my kit video, you'll know that this is my Thermarest Neo Air, and on top of that I've got the Carmore Special Forces bivvy bag, my Ravicent 700 for the sleeping bag, the Sierra Designs pillow, and then this blue thing's the Rab silk liner. So that all just stuffs in quite nicely, and I've got nothing underneath the mat. I decided in the end not to bring the Thermarest Ridge Rest. It was just 400 grams that I didn't really need to carry at the end of the day, but I'm happy with this, and if I can't get the fire going, you know, I'm sure it'll be warm enough anyway. But so whilst I've still got a little bit of light, I'm going to have a bit of a rummage around, see if I can find any dead wood for a fire, and then get the dinner on. Well, that's me just stuck water in the dinner for this evening. It's chili con carne with rice, 1,000 calories. So very much looking forward to that. I've been out, collected a bunch of firewood. It's all just sitting down by the water there. So I can go and stick on a fire for like, but I've had these down pants on, and I have to say they're absolutely fantastic. They're so good. I'm gonna have to stick this on. Oh, nice. I tell you what. I'll take this down again. There we go. Well, the ultimate test. Yeah. It's alright. A bit cardboardy. Maybe needs just a touch more water. Nice though. So I had a look at the map, and tomorrow's a reasonably big day, I would say. So I'm thinking about overshooting the destination a little bit, because the day after that's really big. So we'll see how we feel, but did some stretches and stuff earlier on. Feeling okay at the minute, but that was only a 15k day, so there's much bigger days up ahead. And I'll kind of be glad to get away from this bit, because it's actually quite there's like quads and stuff going around, so it's actually quite busy in a way. Looking forward to getting into kind of the more back and beyond areas where you can just kind of wild camp in peace. I don't think anybody's going to come down here or that, but don't know, you never know. But I do have a really nice tranquil spot down by the water, so I can't really complain. Well, that was not an easy fire to get going.
The wood's absolutely soaking wet, saturated, so took a couple of attempts to get it going, and it's just ticking over, but it's keeping me nice and warm. It's starting to frost over now, so temperature's definitely dropping, but it's an absolutely stunning clear sky. You can see an insane amount of stars, very little light pollution out here, so I'm not complaining, and I'll be warm enough in the kit that I've got. So a bit of a recap on today and just how I'm feeling about it. It's great to get out. It's absolutely fantastic to have finally gotten out onto the trail after so many weeks and months really in the run up to it. The training, the preparation, just the idea of doing it, and I'd narrowly avoided getting ill or getting COVID in the run up to it over the Christmas break, and yeah, just really fortunate and grateful to have gotten out. So buzzing about that. Not really feeling like it's properly sunk in, to be honest, that I'm out here for 8 days. I reckon by a few days in it'll start to feel more real, and that's the kind of thing that I'm looking for, to be honest. It's that total immersion. There's nothing to focus on but the tasks at hand. Something I really like about carving is it's often better if you take a little often, and it's sort of in a way like a life lesson that persistence pays off if you do it in manageable amounts. And as you work at it systematically, doing manageable amounts every time, you very quickly, or not necessarily quickly, but you find yourself in a good place with it. And people who are really good at it can make really fine looking things, but even so, it's actually the process that I find really enjoyable. I could just be whittling a bit of wood to nothing, but that process of persistence, sustainable persistence, is really therapeutic. Slept quite well last night. Got a good shift of sleep anyway, and I wasn't up in the middle of the night too cold or anything like that, so pretty chuffed. I mean, it was a frosty start to the morning. As you can see on the tarp, outside of my sleeping bag and bivvy bag were moist, but I don't know, in these conditions I'm not sure that's particularly avoidable. So I've got some water on the boil for brekkie. Just have a quick breakfast and a cup of tea and then hit the road. How's that for a morning view? Incredible. So it was actually a much harder frost than I thought last night. The ground's frozen solid. Puddles frozen solid as well. I can't even speak. So I'm quite chuffed actually that I got a good night's sleep, and that the sleep system worked. I'm thinking that possibly the reason there was wetness on the outside of my bag might have been due to the bag freezing on the outside and then my body heat melting the frost. it's a possibility. So it's went back in my bag ever so slightly damp, along with the bivvy bag, but I had it out drying and it froze, so I guess, yeah, there's not really much I can do about it. I don't have enough time to properly dry it out anyway, so yeah, just making some tracks again, coming down into Skip Nest just now, and I'll head south after that to the next place, and I'll see you when I get a bit of a break. So stopped for my first break of the day. Got some water from the woods behind me here. I'll show you where we're at. So I camped here last night, walked down and Skip Nest along the coast, and I've come to Clonegg, and I'm about here right now, so I've still got to go up into the hills a bit, along, have lunch somewhere about here probably, and then down into Clachan, where I think I'm going to try and stay about here, and if not, there's a woodland a bit further on I can hop into for a look. I've stopped about a third of the way through the walk, about 8.5 kilometres in. I'm really feeling it on the shoulders, like really starting to dig in. It's not, legs are fine, but yeah, really feeling it on the shoulders, so I'm trying to adjust some things on the back. Taking my walking poles off the backpack, I'll use them, that'll save a little bit of weight on the shoulders as well. But I've still got to push on at least another 2.5k before I stop for lunch, so I'll have just a quick drink of water here and push on. I think that over there is the hills we've come from, so yeah, covering quite a bit of distance. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. I narrowly missed a really moody looking rain cloud that just headed over to Skye and stayed there, which I was really grateful for, because it was absolutely chucking it down. So been lucky so far with the weather. Whilst we're here, I just thought I'd share some thoughts on the life straw. I brought this because I thought it would be really convenient to use on the trail really quickly, just get some water, stuff it in, drink and go, and drinking on the go. But actually the way I'm using it is I'm only drinking when I'm stopped, and I'm drinking the whole thing in a oneer and I'm packing it away again. So actually it is really convenient, and in comparison to the Sawyer squeeze pouch I had before, loads more convenient. But actually, like, because I'm not using it on the go, I don't think it's worth the extra weight. I think it's like 226 grams this was, or something. No, that was the tripod. It's 200 and something grams. So it's not like the heaviest thing in the world, and maybe it's just counting beans, but I think a better system for the way I'm drinking water on this trip would be one of the Sawyer squeezes, except with like a different squeeze pouch. I think the later version that came out after mine, the mini, I think it was, came with a better squeeze pouch. So I think that will be a fraction of this, and then I can use my metal cup, the stainless steel camping cup that I'm using for pretty much everything else. For the water, I can just squeeze it into there, and then I don't need to carry an extra big bulky item like this, and I don't have the extra weight. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. I love it, I think it's great, and I'm going to use it for other things like canoeing and what have you, but yeah, maybe not the best for this trip.
Stopped at this beautiful spot for lunch, Loch Frau. Unfortunately tastes nothing like the ale. We've came from roughly here since I last took a video along this way, and I've stopped here for a bit of lunch. It was quite a hard go in this bit, just really feeling the weight of the pack, and I feel like the poles did help a bit, so I'm feeling alright now. And I just need to get through this woodland there, down past this loch, and then I'm going to go past Clachan and look for a place to stay on near the coast on the other side of this woodland, so not too long to go now.
Really enjoying walking through this Atlantic rainforest, but man, I'm stuffed. I've walked about 17-18k so far today, which is 3 more than yesterday, but yeah, absolutely buckled. Thinking a lot about the rest of the trip and about the bigger day, like the 30k day, which is the last day. I guess, you know, I'll have made it through the vast majority of my food by then, and my pack will be significantly lighter, and I'm hoping it's going to be easier. I did find today easier than yesterday, and you know, that's a good 800 grams of food less. I think it's about 800 anyway. I'll correct that if it's not. I did release a video where I said I'd lose 800 grams a day, so my pack would be 1.6 kilograms lighter by the end of the trip, which is obviously completely wrong. But yeah, really hoping that it's going to get easier. I'm considering, on the day that I'd split a 30 into 2 15s, I'm considering pushing on a little bit through that just to make that last day a little bit easier. Got a taxi coming at 5, and you know, I don't mind hanging around if I can't bring that forward, but it's tough. It is tough. My feet are feeling it. My shoulders mainly are feeling it. And legs and knees are fine, so it's what it is. Right, I've not got far to go from here. I'm going to push down into I can't even remember what it's called, down to the village that I can't remember the name of now. I think it's about 3 or 4k, so not long now. How's that for a place to camp? Oh. Yeah. Truly stunning.
Really beautiful. Yep.
Better go see if I can get some wood before I run out of light and get the tarp up.
Alright, I've gone for the bigger tarp this time. Set it up in a fashion where it stands on its own with a walking pole. Normally you see people pull this to the front as well to make it super tight and just put a paracord in there, but it's a still night. I'm not too fussed about it, so this will do me. And I've got plenty of space in there to be able to get my bag and me in there, so yeah, happy with that. It's just very little to fix the smaller tarp too, so that works a bit better for me. Collected a bunch of firewood as well. Gonna have a fire over here where there's a really conveniently placed rock to sit on. Just absolutely fantastic.
What a horrible angle. Well, it's beef and potato hot pot for tea tonight, and it's less cardboardy than last night's, but still, yeah. I'll tell you, there was one time I had the spaghetti bolognese by Real Tarmac. It was insane. Really, really good. But at the end of the day, it's hot and slippy, Happy days. That's me settled down for the night now. Fire was good, dinner was alright. Although it did start to get quite cold, and it's now freezing up inside the tarp, as you can possibly see. So it's going to be another chilly one tonight, I think. Bag's still a bit damp, but I think we should be alright. I was struggling with headspace a little bit, but I've stuck up the back with a couple of sticks, and I'm really hoping that holds, because it wasn't ideal with the tarp right on my nose. And otherwise, started getting a bit hungry, so I'm thinking if the 3,022 calories a day isn't enough, then I might have to consider stopping at a shop at some point and picking up some stuff. Or if I get somewhere, I just eat a bunch of stuff whilst I'm there, so I'm not carrying extra things, because I'm really looking forward to the pack getting lighter. I don't really want to be stocking up with extra weight if I don't have to. But the next town, or the next little village, I doubt it's going to have anything shops wise. Possibly once I make it back over again to the east side, I might find something. And certainly way down in Campbelltown, but that's miles away. That's absolutely miles away. But I'll need to figure out something. Whether I maybe eat some more of my stash on the basis that when I get to Campbelltown I'll replenish it. We'll see. I'll make a plan tomorrow and see what the morning brings. See you then. Well, I'm having the most hellish morning. Last night went to bed, all was fine, and then woke up in the middle of the morning or middle of the night with the tarp on my face, and the center pole had collapsed, if you can see that there. And yeah, disaster. And I learned a lesson in not scrimping on your pegs and putting in the value of putting in solid wooden pegs from the beginning, which I knew, but I was hungry when I got here and I just rattled in my thin skinny metal ones, and that proved to be a mistake. That being said, the wind's picked up so much that even with solid pegs all around, it just keeps knocking the pole down. So I've been lying here for God knows how long, just holding the pole up with my hand. Fortunately it's not as cold as it was, so my hand isn't freezing, but I'm basically just waiting it out until I can get up, because it's raining outside now as well, so really don't want to be standing still cooking breakfast outside for any longer than I need to. So I'm just holding the pole up for now, and not long to go. It's 5:45, so we'll get out in the next half hour or something like that and get some breakfast and hit the road.
I've just been out to get some water, got the waterproofs and that on, and come back and decided that it might be a good idea, as soon as the tarp's not providing a huge amount of shelter at the minute. I can see a bridge here, and I'm camped just over here, so I'm going to make way to that bridge, and hopefully that's got some shelter for a bit of breakfast. It's still pitch black outside. Yeah, it's going to be a long morning. I'm about halfway between Ronican Bay and Tane Lone. Tane Lone being the next town that I'm coming to. About 7.5 kilometres into the walk, and it's been quite a tough slog, to be honest. Lots of kind of loose pebbles, and then up into some sloppy mud, really quite muddy, sloppy sections along there, and then came past an old dismantled fish farm, I think it is, which wasn't the most pleasant walk, to be honest. They had piled a load of rubbish onto the walk, like old concrete and things and tyres and what have you, so it's not the prettiest section anyway. So my knees are starting to hurt now. I'm starting to feel it in the knees, a little bit in the legs. Back's just kind of as it's always been, but I'm grateful to have gotten an early start this morning and been able to make so much progress by about 10 AM. So the idea, I'll take you to the map, is to show you where I came from. That's Ronican Bay. Come along here, and I'm about here just now. Gotta go around here, and then I get to Tane Lone. I'm considering seeing if they have a cafe or something to get some grub, seeing as I was hungry last night. So I'll have a look around in there. They've got a telephone as well, I might use that if I don't get signal. And then I'm thinking, seeing as I've got a short day here, I might push on further up here and try and camp around about this area, or if I can stretch it, even this area, just to try and take some kilometres out of the really big days ahead. But we shall see. Now, for reasons I'll go into a bit later, I haven't done a lot of filming today. I've checked the forecast, I've got a bit of internet at Tane Lone, and I've got, oh, was that some deer? Thought I saw some deer in the distance. I did come across a couple of red deer and stalked up to them to about 30 metres. Just stood in a straight line, slowly walking towards them, and it was quite amazing. And then they shut off actually when I stopped walking. It was quite strange. Anyway, that's enough deer. Yeah, got some internet, and there's heavy rain forecast at 5 o'clock, and it's going to run right through till tomorrow and ease off a little bit in the morning, I think, and start back up again about 12. Heavy rain all day, so I need to make a good shelter. Now, last night's shelter was pants, and so I'm changing the tune a little bit. I need a decent ridge line, so I've not got some collapsible item in the tarp, and I'm walking around the Sitka spruce forest at the minute. It's been planted on plough, so the earth is ripped up in rows, and that's kind of a pain in a way, because I want to run a ridge line between two trees and have somewhere to sleep. So I've been fishing around and found this tree and this tree with a gap in between, which on one side of this poorly done plough I'll be able to sleep, so that's absolutely perfect. I'm here in good time, I think, for both the rain and for getting cooking and what have you. I've made some progress on the kilometres at great cost, but yeah, let's just get this tarp up. That's the ridge line up. I've got it running quite high, and I forgot to mention that another reason that made this spot so attractive was that there's a tree off to the diagonal left, a tree off to the diagonal right. There's a tree off to the diagonal right on this end. Now there isn't on that side, but I could just take it to this one over here, or go a little bit further to that one. So I've got options for tying off the corners of the tarp at different levels without having to faff around with going to a stick and then down to the ground and what have you. I've got just a bit of a rundown. I've got 2 prusik knots already fastened onto the tarp, which will be for tying onto the middle of the end of the tarps, and I'll pull these tight and I'll show you what happens with that. And fastening it on with this is the first end I fastened. I fastened that on with a quick release knot, something I picked up from Mike McQuilton on MCQ Bushcraft, and this knot as well was from actually his quick deployment tarp setup video.
It's well worth a watch if you're interested in setting something like this up. It's all you know, it's kind of standard tarp knots in a way. I've seen other people do the same thing differently. There's, you know, there's a million ways to tie a knot and all that, but that's a really good video on his channel if you want to check that out.
Grab yourself a toggle, put the toggle through the loop like so, pull the prusik knot. So the other end is already tight, and then pulling on either end allows us to keep the tarp tight on the ridgeline, which is super handy. Now I just need to tie off the corners. Tarp is tarped. I'll just show you this knot. So I'm fastening it onto the corners onto these trees with an adjustable guy line hitch, just to show you how that works. Essentially this replaces the little guy line hitch plastic bits that you get with tents and what have you when you buy guy poles. Allows me to either push or pull this line and to give slack or to tighten. And I've got that on all four. The only one that I couldn't get to a tree was this one here, so I put it to a peg just in the ground there. And what I'm trying to do is create two low points, this one and that one, and two high points, this one and that one, so that there's somewhere for the water to go. And that's that.
Once I got everything set up, I had a quick nap and a cup of tea just to get me all warmed up, and I've since been up and had my cardboard korma with rice, and it was alright, and feeling a bit more human again, which is great. It's amazing how just a bit of food can sort you out. I was feeling a little bit, yeah, just a bit kind of struggling with the mental game, and that kind of touches on why I didn't do a lot of filming today, because to be honest, it's been a really hard day. The start of the day, obviously, with the tarp troubles, sitting there holding that pole up, just like, Jesus, this is madness. That was a hard start to the day, there's no doubt about it. And then pushing on through the rain and the dark and stuff, making good progress, but then after a while my knees really started to hurt, and my shins as well. The pain in my back isn't so much of an issue anymore, but now I'm really feeling it in my knees and in my shins, and just lying down before I could feel them just aching. So that's been causing me quite a bit of trouble, and I've been having to stop quite more frequently. The distance I can cover without a rest has gotten shorter. So that's all been kind of getting to my head and making me think, you know, can I do this? Can I actually finish this walk? And starting to worry a bit about the fact I was hungry last night. You know, have I got enough food? All these things just mount up, especially when you're having a bad time with things like your tarp and what have you, or the rain, or pains in your body, and it can become quite consuming. But since then, I just thought about the trip, and I thought about breaking it down into smaller chunks, and realised that, you know, I'm nearly halfway through, and I thought I was further away from Campbelltown than I am, and realising that, oh, actually, if I get tomorrow out of the way, then I'm only 2 days from Campbelltown, and then Campbelltown's only 2 days from Machrihanish, and so thinking about it like that helped me, and the idea that I can go and replenish some food in Carradale also started filling me with a bit more confidence again. And this all really depends on whether my knees can hack it. If tomorrow I get to, well, if I make it to Carradale tomorrow, I'm going to see how I feel, and if my knee pain and shin pain is any worse, then I'm going to have to call it a day. And yeah, try not to think too much about that, because when I go down that road I start thinking about, oh well, you know, what you're doing is absolutely mad. Maybe you should have done a 5-day backpacking trip in the summer first before you started cranking out an 8-day winter backpacking trip under a tarp. You know, I really have went all out with it, but that was the plan, and I put a lot of planning and preparation into it, so, you know, I've definitely given it my best shot. And even if I was to leave 4 days in, it would still be the longest ever backpacking trip I've ever done, and the most successfully I've ever done one as well. So, you know, I wouldn't be leaving with nothing. But yeah, see what tomorrow brings. For now, I'm just going to, I've done a bit of admin around the place, tidied up a few things, and swapped out a bag that was holy with a bag that isn't holy, and a bunch of things like that. I'm pleased with how warm I am with the down pants on and the down top. Don't need a fire at all tonight, so happy with that. Going to have a bit of a read and then catch another early night, I think. The tarp setup's working really well. Although I am beginning to wonder whether it is leaking, which just seems really unlikely. But there is a build-up of water on the inside of the tarp. I can't understand why that would be. So I'm thinking it's just condensation and it's just dripping down onto me every now and then, but just keeping an eye on it. It does look pretty wet inside the tarp, which isn't always the most confidence inspiring. But yeah, I'll see you in the morning.